walk barefoot very much, so it's like I think I just want.
It's time to walk barefoot.
We're few today, but many.
Few but many. All right.
Okay.
So let's do the founder.
Okay. You want me that close?
I just want you here. I want you to hold it. I'm gonna wake your spinal muscles up. Try to breathe when you're here. So inhale through the nose. Exhale, sink a little bit deeper. We talked about those little mechanoreceptors. Run along the canals of the spine here.
Oh, I'm so glad. Wow, see what we get?
Wake that spine up. Breathe into it. Good, yeah.
I finally can do this without moving my shoulders, and I think I'm doing it right.
Which knee was giving you trouble?
This one, right here.
Get that tension on the hamstrings. Let's go.
And that's why I woke up with it sore. Yeah, because the doc said it wasn't the knee replacement. Oh. Of why it's locking up. Cool.
A little sore.
Woo! Wait.
Push into it. It's going to test your balance.
Pardon?
It's going to test your balance a little bit.
Good.
All right, I got to give Vicky a little love here.
Oh.
So sink in a little deeper.
They kind of hold a little.
You sound funny, Vicky. Raise those arms, push the hips back. Breathe. Big breaths, guys. All right.
He dug a ditch or something, and he's been kind of recovering from a sore back. Well, okay.
We're not going there. We already went there.
Oh, sorry. It's all right.
All right.
He kind of needs, in his mind, he kind of needs to get well.
And this is daily practice. You have to teach your ribcage to
When you
expand.
get down like that?
Teach the muscles around
Yep.
the job for it.
Let's get down.
So get into a prone decompression position, and let's practice that ribcage extension. First, on your belly, knees touching the floor, feet touching the floor with the toes tucked under you a little bit, so the ankles dorsiflex. Perfect.
That's the first time right
Reach
there.
the arms out in front of you, and make sure it's a position that's comfortable for your shoulders. Don't just try to go as far as you can. The arms can be wide. What is important is that the fingertips are touching the
Got the
ground.
chair in your way here.
The wrists and the chin pulls away.
See what they're doing with the hands there. Yeah.
Oh,
If
okay.
you're feeling this as strength
Did a little bit. Elbows are up. Try not to extend too much.
give that chin pulled back and squeeze it.
Lifting that belly a little bit. Yeah. There you go.
Build mid-lower back here, kind of right where the rib cage goes and leads into the
So the chest is still down.
I want you to practice as hard as you can. Expand.
You don't have to lift yourself fully with your fingernail.
Literally, like I'm trying to push your
Try not to lock those elbows out. Let's get a little wider. Yeah, just helps push your shoulders down.
lower border of your rib.
You're mainly thinking about sucking your belly button in.
On the inhale, push the ribs out of the way.
Yeah.
On the exhale, try
I'll
to
join you guys.
tight and maintain that
I mean,
expansion.
swimming butterfly.
Another one. Expand. Push.
This is what we're
the
supposed to look
lower
like doing
back
butterfly.
rib out of the way.
Not really.
Last one. Expand as big as you can. Pull the chin back. Keep everything tight. And then relax. We're going to practice the exact same thing, and it's a pine decompression. So we're going to flip over onto your back. Take your time doing that. Very nice roll.
I wait to watch you because I can't see this.
Same
Oh,
exact
if I did this.
Yeah.
You're going to dorsiflex those ankles just a little bit until your shin muscles
this
touch
feels
the shin
good.
just slightly. As those knees kind of roll in towards each other, the groin muscles should fatigue just a little bit.
You want our necks
And let's
back
right
like
away
that?
take those
No.
arms into a
Oh.
I'm just
bend
watching.
up over your chest.
I got a cramp.
Down your head. Don't stay
Cramp.
there. Reach your arms back just a little bit further. Little bit. Right there.
Feet
So now what we're
together.
going to do is we're one
Feet
hand
together, dorsiflexion.
posterior.
Toes to your nose.
So every time Bill takes a big breath in here, he's going to be reaching for the ground with the back of his ribs. Reaching, really reaching for it with the back of the rib
You
cage.
just screen on the
Pushing
ceiling.
our spine into the
One more
mat.
big forceful decompression there. Expand as big
Think
as you can.
lengthening.
Keep those arms reaching out. Keep the back of your neck long.
You're not trying to flatten the curves
Do we
down.
want any flexion in our back? The lower back?
You're not trying to flatten the lower back.
Okay, that's what
Keep the back of the rib cage actively.
I figured that was Vicky's question too. That's why I gave a weird answer.
Further back and as you exhale, try to tighten up the belly as much as you're able.
Raising those arms a little bit overhead.
Go ahead with that.
Just feel your tension, bring it
So you're
down.
going to come up into a lunge position. I'm going to help you up here.
All right. Let's get up. Remember how we got up last time?
All right, so we're going to step forward with your right leg.
Walking your way back
I want
up.
you to make sure that your hips are squared up in this position. All right?
Like a monkey.
Hips square, both looking straight ahead. Take 3 or 4 big deep
Left foot forward when you're ready.
and go right back to those little simple measuring sticks. Thumbs at the ribs, pinkies at the pelvis. Big lift with every inhalation. Maintain the lift with every exhalation.
Don't beat yourself up.
Let's go once again
You got it.
into just a basic lunge decompression. So the arms are going to come up. We're going to stand as tall as possible from this position. Literally, like I'm standing behind you, lifting you up as tall as you can be.
You're supposed to.
Back of your rib cage is what it's all about.
If you're not losing your balance, you're not doing it right.
Well, let's not focus on that. Let's take all the emphasis to the back of the ribs. And for 3 decompression breaths, put all your emphasis there. Back of the rib cage expanding, opening, widening with every inhalation. Lifting the rib cage throughout the entire exhalation. All right, stand really tall on the next exhale. Let your arms come down. Keep your chest open. And then go ahead and switch legs.
Woohoo.
It's important as you're switching throughout these little positions, even in the interim, keep your chest broad, stay tall, keep practicing that posture. Chin back, chest up, make sure the hips are square. Very nice. Shoulders back,
I hear
lift
music
up.
too.
Reach as high as you can. Right back into decompression, expanding the ribs as much as possible. I want you to get extremely sick of hearing chin back, chest up. I want you to be tired of hearing me say expand the back of your ribs. It's the only way you're going to get better. One more breath in. Expand the back of the ribs, chin back, chest up, let the arms drop, stay big. This is an important one. Practice that rib cage expansion every day.
Is it joint pain?
Yeah, a lot.
Put right here.
Is it joint pain?
I don't know.
It should be lower. So everyone get in that split stance again. So we'll go over that. Let's review. Left foot forward. Switch it up there at the end. Left foot forward. Gotta get on the same page here. So, and if this is hard on your toes, you can get a little bit more narrow, so you don't have to get too wide. And then you're pushing off those back toes. See how I kind of like I'm lifting my torso, putting it on top of my front hip here. The same thing I'll do when I'm walking. A lot of times when I'm walking, I'll notice my hips are kind of here and I'm compressed, so I'll automatically, okay, lift my torso up, stack it on my hips. You'll notice that engagement there, and that's opening up all that joint space.
Okay.
So sometimes if we got pain, it might be because we're too rotated or our hips are too forward. So think about that as we're kind of almost, we're not back here, we're here pushing, and then I try to lift, if that makes sense. Just because I know how my posture is, and my tendency is to be here, where I'm too unengaged. So first I will actually push, really lift, and then try to get my head back up. And you notice, because he does this last, right? So it brings the hands up. So think about neck and everything last. A lot of us are shoulders and neck first, but we disengage that, and that sometimes leads to that pain. Different. You're going to have a little pain, especially on the, I notice it on the front one. Is that where it starts to burn, but it's kind of lower, and it's like a muscle burn right in there. So this is actually the last of part 1, the last review. So like all stuff we've seen, right? So this is the woodpecker. The other variation was pushing a little more forward, which you didn't really get into, and that's fine. I just noticed that helps push the hips back even more. So I'll even subtly do that every time. I'll think of lifting, what he calls the hinge.
You want that knee, the front knee.
They're always a little loose. Because if I'm never locking them out like this, because that does weird things to your back. It's almost like you're trying to take your knee. This is your knee joint, if you can imagine.
Okay.
And we're opening it up, prying it open. Knee takes a lot of abuse. And the knee, it's got about like 30 degrees of rotation, where the hip has lots. It's a ball socket joint. It's just it gets really stuck, and then our knee's like, oh, let me try to help out. And that's, I think, what's going on a little bit there. So watch your knee. Make sure your knee's not turning in or turning out. It's knee following the foot, everything kind of straight lined up. Even the back hip, you might notice that like I kind of drop my right hip, so it's almost got to like pull that hip, get it straight, and that allows that pressure off the knee. And that's kind of that point of the other one we did where we rotated. It kind of actually evens you out if you go to the left. You'll notice that it's hard because it automatically knocks me over. But like she said, you're falling over. That's kind of the goal here. It's like, oh.
You dig that big toe into the floor.
I know, I'm trying.
So yeah, reset.
My question.
Oh, that's a good point.
Maybe I've heard this because y'all discussed. How many of these do we do when we're doing them? For how long?
Oh, okay.
You know, I haven't.
How long do we hold it?
I've been
and
seeing,
how many
there's a
reps?
basic technique here and there.
Right.
But it's like,
I like to say like 5 to 10 minutes in the morning, and that's kind of like to get your brain set to walk and move properly, because it's foundation training continues on through the day. It's not like it's,
okay.
you know, 10 minutes is all you need, and it should be. It's a hard 10 minutes, so it's like less than 5 minutes, and it's a little shaky.
Right.
So changing it up, doing different exercises matters. Like I put out the videos to get out of pain challenge. You're doing this one, it's 100 times. But you're like, that's so much. But it does, you know, the video is like 5 minutes long. So what it would look like, I like to kind of like move through motions, because I'll notice the longer I hold the position, the more I kind of, you know,
Yeah.
even when I'm walking, I was like, this lasts for like a minute and then like starts creeping down. I gotta remind myself, walking the other day, I had my toe shoes on. And that's a good point. You're thinking about the big foot. Let me get to that, and then I'll answer the other question. There's the 3 points of contact, which I don't know if he's really got into yet, but that's probably a thing we're going to hit soon, is the ball of the big toe, which is here, the ball of the little toe, and then the heel are the 3 points.
I had bunions. You could see by the formation of my feet.
Yeah,
So
that's the goal, you know, in the magical world. And it's almost like the hands are trying to spread everything, almost like we're suctioning the ground. That's what the foot's trying to do, is this, which I don't really have the control to do yet. Yeah. So there's 3 arches in the foot that should all be lifting at once. So the transverse arch runs from the ball of the little toe to the ball of the big toe. Lateral arch from ball of the little toe to the heel. Medial arch opposite. So it's not just clawing in like that, like we all want to do.
right.
And that's how most of our shorts shoot. You should feel that outer. You shouldn't be on the outer. The outer arch should lift just a little bit, and you'll feel that in your knee. It takes some pressure out. Okay. So think, you know, if the knee's out there like that, we're kind of pulling in. The whole foot is pushing the ground away. Back toe too, like we said, we're trying that scissor motion. Both feet are pulling in, but also the arch is suctioning the ground on that front foot as I'm putting my weight more and more over top of that foot, that front heel, and the front hip. Feel that little bit of difference there. Yeah. It's like you might not even feel that your toes are spreading, but that's the idea, is that's just a little bit, everything at once.
Okay.
But it's easy with our hands, because our hands are doing stuff all day and our feet are stuck in shoes and on flat surfaces. They're not used to this gripping and grabbing, and that's exactly where bunions comes from, is as everything goes this way, this goes that way, starts rubbing against the shoe, and you get the arthritis in there. It's genetic to a point. It's like, of course, mom had it.
No, mine's from surgery.
Surgery and how we walk.
I had to have mine removed, and then I had a hammer toe, so I can't bend that second toe.
Same with the curves in the spine. You know, a lot of us will have like genetic alterations, but they'll get worse unless we really work against them. Scoliosis too, same thing. Especially if, you know, we all have a little list. Anyone who comes in has a little bit of curve in their spine comes in to see me. And a guy the other day, he's like, oh, I've never been told I had scoliosis, but it was 10 or 15 degrees curve. No one's ever said anything. No one's ever seen it before. And it's, you know, he's a big, strong guy, moves really great, but spine is weak. So that's what we're doing here, is strengthen that central structure. So it's not just about, hey, let's go out, lift weights, let's be Kenny and push wheelbarrows. It's how we're doing things, even if we've been taught something before that might be improper, just reevaluating it, thinking about it, and applying it to us. Let's review the going down on the ground here. You guys look pretty good, but let's review it.
Going up is hard.
It's hard, yeah. So don't.
Going down.
So you can just watch me, just so when you're at home, you got something to grab on.
All right.
But yeah, like in a perfect world, use the chair. But you know, eventually, it's, you know, like you talked about the squat last time, not letting the knees go forward, but think about the hips doing a lot of the work, 'cause that's what we're doing a lot during the day. I'm sure Kenny, you know, doing a lot of
Kenny's learned a lot about
this,
since he
right?
had his surgery.
Using those hips to get down. And then walking our way out, using those fingertips. Not just resting, but almost like that same suction cup. And that's a nice way to get up and off the ground, especially if we've injured our backs, we've fallen. Last thing you want to do is roll, and you might not be able to pull yourself up, so you need that spinal strength to reverse that. Walk your way back.
This is where I have a hard time because this toe,
Yeah.
second toe doesn't want to let me,
Yeah,
I don't have enough grip.
it's hard on the foot too.
It's really hard.
Well, what it's good for is the spine, because you're limiting how much twist you're putting into that spine. So you can just watch this next part, and I'll just get back down here and show you these two things.
Then I put it up, which is really, really fun.
So most recent video is a guy I was working on at Ridgeline Fitness, trying to show what isolated shoulder motion looks like.
I need to get back out.
No, you can just watch it. So we're not extending, right? We're keeping that, sucking that belly up off, creating like a little bit of space there. Can you see that?
Yep.
Pulling that in. So that way the whole spine's kind of lifting at one. And then we're pushing those hands up overhead. And that forces the rotator cuff to work at the very end. So exhaling, coming up, lengthening the spine. I feel that a lot in my upper traps. Everything's stretching, everything's strengthening. So we're not doing too much of this, right? We don't want to be there where the belly's just flat to the floor. It's first always thinking about those measuring stick hands in any position, even when we're laying down, is tightening there. And then I notice when I lift, much harder. I'm not getting up as far, but there's far less bend in the spine. Is that making sense?
Yeah, no, that totally does.
Okay. And
Otherwise, the upper part is working awfully.
right. It's too much of like cobra, you know, and this one where it's too much extension.
So that was for your shoulder, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, for the rotator cuff there. Well, that one really hits it. This one,
It is a garage, I don't.
just pulling the toes in,
Okay.
thinking about as you pull the toes in, engaging that hip. Same as if we're standing, think about it like pushing the ground away. So you asked, flattening the back? No, kind of,
Yeah.
more lengthening. I'm not flattening that low back like that,
Right.
where I'm rounding myself. It's
Sure.
trying to lengthen.
Okay.
So watch the breath here. So when I inhale, I suck this in, and the chest inflates. And I'll even pull on the diaphragm a little bit. And that I feel in my whole
But
spine.
the whole time you're keeping your measuring here, right?
Just here, I'm just showing you.
Uh-huh.
As soon as you got that locked
No,
down,
but I mean, that's because I want to exhale fully, so then the whole thing, you know, is relaxing.
yeah, most people want to breathe, they let the belly out.
No, I can breathe in, but then when I relax, then it's all gone.
Oh yeah, so
But if you want to hold it,
we inhale, let out, we keep that.
right.
And then when you're ready to go, you can start adding in the breaths with the arms.
That took a while. I finally got that down.
That supine swim one we did, so you're inhaling, pulling the shoulders down, exhaling, coming up, inhaling. The only thing I didn't teach you with that one is you watch the feet. So you inhale, push the feet, exhale, or was the other way? Inhale, curl, exhale, push. That's like a whole body one. That one gets that hamstrings a lot. That one would be really good for you, because then,
Okay.
but also training it to decompress in a standing position.
Okay.
A lot of this stuff he's gonna hit on anyways. Just thought we'd review those.
Thank you.
Let's
That
hit the
was
next
good.
video. Get some water. And I'll leave you in charge of this if you need to hit that knee.
Okay, thank you.
Just hit the button in the back.
Oh, okay.
So I'd keep just running along that hamstring,
Okay,
'cause
thank
that's
you.
probably what's tightest on you. Hamstring actually crosses the joint a little bit.
You
So
know
it's,
what? That's what I woke up and it was tight.
yeah. If you have one of these, it's actually really great. And maybe I'll make videos on this, because I've never seen anybody actually combine these two ideas. This one was like 300, but they're on like Facebook for like 50 bucks. So I don't know if they're that good, but.
Is that the same one that was on Facebook?
But you can do a lot of this stuff, you know, while you're working the muscles, you know, even hitting your back a little bit.
I need to get one. My boss has one, expensive one.
So do your decompression stance, everything, while you're.
And you want to make sure it has those two little palm things?
So I have interchangeable ones. I like this one because it's running along the spine, but works well elsewhere.
So they had that on Facebook on the.
Yeah. I think somebody told me the battery's not as good.
Huh.
And with this company, obviously you get like a warranty and everything, but you're paying for customer service and a warranty when the machine might be just as good coming from China.
Okay.
You might have Corona on it, but let's play the next video. But just something to think about if you might as well if you're into foundation training.
Yeah, so I just, is it under the Facebook?
The reality to learning decompression
Selling
breathing
thing?
is that it's a challenge.
Not with the ads on, well, all you need is put that on maybe, or Craigslist, or
Oh,
market. Hinging at the hips, so close.
need Alex here.
Your wife, right?
Yeah.
Where is she?
Oklahoma. I'll give her a pass.
Once you understand what it feels like to
Yeah.
decompress your body through anchoring and decompression breathing, it's time to apply these principles.
Yeah, it was
to
a funeral.
One of the most essential, though often ignored natural human movements is hinging at the hips. As the central joint of your body, your hips are your center of gravity and the primary fulcrum
always.
of your movement. Thus, hinging is the most basic function foundation training develops. Due to lifestyles and weakness, we might relegate the movement the hips are meant to do to other parts of the body. When this happens regularly, the body is pulled into incorrect positions, causing compensation and ultimately adaptation toward less than ideal postures. This can create pain and imbalance and be detrimental to your health. However, remarkable stability comes from using your hips as the central joint of your body. Hinging works best when the torso is decompressed. That's why you learned it first. Once decompressed, your hips can be used effectively as the central fulcrum for nearly any pulling, reaching, lifting, or folding movement. A healthy hip hinge is a sign of strength, poise, and power. Hinging is a very muscular movement that utilizes the large muscles around the hips to stabilize and decelerate a body in motion. Strengthening these muscles through hinging helps create a stronger, more powerful, more resilient body. Hinging helps to strengthen your muscle chains, your body's primary stability system. If your muscle chains are not doing their job, the secondary system, your skeletal structure,
Here it's not
steps
right,
in,
is it?
and over time,
Right.
this is when you see real problems. As you progress through activities 1 and 2, keep your muscle system in the front of your mind at all times.
Try to get more length.
Focusing on your muscles will
Pull the
go a
tension
long
out of
way
these
in helping
guys.
you become stronger
Super tight.
and more capable. Each time you hinge, whether standing on one leg or two, you will be lengthening the back side of your body under tension, pulling your hips back behind your heels, keeping your knees unlocked and your spine stable and decompressed. As with a simple door hinge, movement should only occur at the fulcrum, or in this case, at your hips. The spine stays long and strong
That's right.
as you hinge. It's important to remind yourself that movement occurs at the hips only.
I thought it was.
That looks
There
better.
is a mild knee
You can
bend
see how it
to
lengthens you.
help maintain effective length in the hamstrings and to keep the buttress in the
Let the hips travel back a little bit more
rather than in
as
the
you
knee
go
joint.
down.
The direction of both the knees and hips in a hip hinge
There you go.
so that the knees do not come forward over the toes. When successfully completing a hip hinge, your body's weight will be absorbed through your heels.
And don't pass out.
So letting the hips come back is the trick. A lot of times everything kind of comes
Right.
forward and then, in the knees. The pressure's in the knees.
Yes.
It might not hurt. eventually, but eventually those knees are going to get angry. So the trick there is first getting that length, and you'll feel these guys kind of stretch a little bit. Sometimes you can even see those like through the shirt. I don't know if you can see those muscles stretching. Those are the muscles we want to decompress. I think we got videos on that. That's why I do them shirtless, not to show you my fat body, but to show you that the muscles are stretching. So there, try to push the hips back. You'll notice, those 3 points of contact are kind of forced to
Yeah, and then everything's smoother.
your feet. Oh, the feet are working now.
And I can feel it right here.
We're so used to just letting our feet be like flat to the ground, not working. As soon as you bring the hips back, the feet suddenly have to grab. That's the hinging. And this is what we're going to explore here. This is another long topic. So part one, we worked on for 3 weeks here, and that was what? It was decompression.
Right, decompression.
Anchoring and decompression. The anchoring was kind of pulling the hips in and then using it to support the spine. And now we're trying to use the hips a little bit more in that stance. So everything builds off the decompression stance, like it's all connected. And we've already done a lot of hinging, right? So we're just going to explore that more.
Woo.
But that's the trick there with the feet and the hips. Breathe. All right. Do, 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 do. We'll be here for 5 hours today.
Hi.
Gotta combat the corona.
I told my husband, so we get done about 10 to 5. He goes, okay.
Begin by standing tall and step your feet out a bit wider than
Might want to turn your mats.
the outside
That's what I was
lines of
gonna
your feet
say.
parallel. Grab the ground with your feet and anchor your lower body. Bring your hands to the measuring stick hand position.
I'll restart.
As you lift your chest up. Take a decompression breath to lengthen your torso. Begin by standing tall and step your feet out a bit wider than shoulder width, while keeping the outside lines of your feet parallel. Grab the ground with your feet and anchor your lower body. Bring your hands to the measuring stick hand position and pull your chin back as you lift your chest up. Take a decompression breath to lengthen your torso as you inhale, and maintain that length as you exhale by tightening your abdominals. Begin pulling your hips back behind your heels without letting your low back flex. Your knees should be slightly unlocked with your weight in your heels. Keep your chin back and chest up, feeling your low back working and the muscles of your hips supporting you. Extend your arms back, externally rotating at the shoulders, coming into the long wing arm position, and take another decompression breath. Bring your hands forward into a sphere of tension at the level of your chest. Take a couple decompression breaths here, making sure your spine is long and your weight is primarily in your heels. Keep your chin pulling back and bring your arms up so your hands are diagonally above your forehead.
Keep your neck long.
Continue decompression breathing.
Don't let your shoulders raise into your ears.
Keep your chin back, chest up, and your weight in your heels. Keep your feet pulling toward each other in a strong anchor and your hips pulling back. Bring your arms back to long wing arm position. Then come back to measuring sticks. As you stand up, bring your hands back down and relax.
And the standing up is sometimes considered the easy thing, but it can actually be the hardest. So when you're here, you've already gotten that. It's just harder for me to get into this lengthened position with one wider. So as we get down, we're pretty good at, maintaining that. A lot of times we lift, we kind of just, we lose it, flop it, don't flop it. So this is what we call a good morning exercise in the real world. So you're coming back here, and you're just kind of lifting with these muscles, which is really hard to do, right?
Yeah.
Not flopping, but pulling.
My lower back wants to do that.
So doing those. Not even using the arms, just maintaining that hip hinge where you're using the hips to come back, the feet are grabbing, and then you're lifting with those hip flexors. Oh, yeah. Feel the burn?
Yes.
A little different than we're used to doing, right?
Right here.
So this will be a good lifting stance for larger objects. You know, using this to get down to the ground, strong but also protected, lifting objects from the ground. A lot of people think, oh, use your legs, right? Don't use your back, but they drop down like this, right? Which is not really a functional squat, because look what I did to my spine, right? My head, and it's all right there in the knees. So, not so good. Next. You're supposed to do it when you're little, that's the problem. And the truth is, your kids are watching you. They're learning how to move by watching you. So you want to teach them, learn to do it right. Because they start out good. You ever watch kids, they're really good at hinging. And then they start watching you guys, and I see the aftermath.